A lot of people are looking and they say, well, I can't lift that much weight, or how much weight should I lift, how much exercise? The weight's not that important, the intensity is. So just to give you an example, I can throw this weight up here and not work my body that much, or I can muscle it up with the tension, like this, and work my biceps really hard. So exercise should be as much concentration as it is perspiration. And one of the things that I like to do is, while I'm resting my biceps between sets, now work my triceps. So my workouts take way less time. I can get a full body workout in 30 minutes of very, very high intensity. Just by, now I can concentrate again. And really work the muscles, flex them. I can speed it up if I want speed training, or I can make it really slow. Each type of exercise works the muscle in a different way, and getting to see a professional to come in and start you out on a workout routine that it's balanced for your body is a really good idea. And to just so you get a feel for the gym, a feel for your body, how to do the movements, and learn the proprioception type components. Very, very important to be safe.
It's not about how much weight you lift.
No, it doesn't matter. I remember when I first started out, I was so concentrated. How much weight could you lift? How much can you bench? How much can you squat? What's interesting, the more successful I got in the sport of bodybuilding, got better and better and better. I actually was using less and less weight, even though the individual body parts were actually stronger. My mind-body connection improved so much. I was able to take a weight that was a fraction what I could actually lift and work my muscles so much harder. And then when I switched to raw food from a meat eater's diet, I was able to speed up my workouts radically. My recovery improved a lot quicker, and this allowed me to have more energy and dynamics, take on that nice glow color to your skin as opposed to that gray kind of look that is prevalent inside the bodybuilding or chemical enhanced world that we live in today. So it's about being natural, doing what's right for you, improving yourself and not comparing yourself to someone else. It doesn't matter how much you lift, it doesn't matter. Are you showing up? Are you doing the best for your body right now? That's where it's at. You know, muscle potential at rest is at 6.9 pH. And that burning sensation that you feel, that's the buildup of lactic acid inside the system that eventually shuts down muscle fibers. Well, as your diet gets more alkaline, first off, you're able to extend exercise sets much further than you could before because your pH doesn't drop as fast. You have the minerals inside your system. You have a more alkaline style. The other thing is once you're done the workout, you're replenishing yourself with foods that help boost your minerals, or foods that enhance the life force in your body, foods that help eliminate toxins in the water and the breathing and all these things that we're doing. That enhances your whole vitality. Now, look at this. I cut the weight down significantly, okay, on this exercise. You saw the last one. And I can get the exact same intensity out of it, you know? See? All that changed is the level of intensity and concentration that I put into it. Once I get the focus down, then the weights tend to go up by themselves. And you know, there's no need in comparing yourself to someone else, because some people are just born to be 7-footers in the NBA. Some people are born to be, you know, strength athletes or gymnasts or something. But you might be attracted to something. I liked weights, even though I didn't have any aptitude for it. I wasn't very good at it. I didn't have the genetics for it, but I liked it and I stuck with it, and it turned into a great career for me just because I followed my heart, I followed my passion, I followed my love.
How many days a week do you do this?
Yeah, so I train typically, if I'm home, 5 days a week. I'll do my weight workouts. I always do the Cellerciser every single day. That's a rebounding kind of thing. And some walking out in nature every day. But if I'm on the road, oftentimes I only get my 10 minutes of exercising in just because there's no gym around or too much things are happening. So,
And then how long do you stay at the gym when you do your sessions?
my gym sessions will range anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour and a half, depending on what I'm trying to achieve at that given time. If I'm trying to get bigger, if I'm trying to just stay in shape, what it happens to be, right? So I've adapted my physicality over the years. So, like anything else, the more you put into something, the more you get out of it. So, back when I was laying the foundation, I would train, an hour to 2 hours of weights every day, maybe working on particular body parts on a day, 5-6 days a week. When I was training for competitions, like the Mr. Universe contest, then I was training maybe 4 hours a day, because that was a very specific time, and that was my profession. That's what I needed to do. Now that I've built that base, I'm looking to stay in shape, keep strength up, that sort of thing. 30 minutes is all I need, probably 3 times a week, and I usually get between 4 and 5 workouts in a week of around 45 to an hour.
And during this competition, you're raw food? Or?
Yeah, when I do competitions, 100% raw, no cooked food, no anything like that. Like, it is pristine because I'm at a very, very high performance level, and I also monitor the other aspects of my life. Like, I'm not doing a lot of the seminars and the business activities. I'm focused on this thing at this time, and so I gear my life around preparation for that.
That's amazing. Raw food and looking like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Living proof that it is possible.
Yeah, right there.
To be a gorilla.
100% raw. I didn't get to this point all in one shot, and I don't think you got to where you are in one shot, but you did have enough passion and energy to follow.
It took me 20 years to figure it out.
Yeah, and take that action. And so there's no ultimate outcome, no place where there's the Mount Olympus of holy harmony of super health or whatever. It's a direction, not necessarily a destination.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Check out that car that was cutting me off in traffic, It's one of the ways I like to stretch is inside the gym too.
I love doing that.
Just hanging, letting my spine decompress, twisting if I feel anything in my body. Not quite often.
Yeah.
When you start out, if you want to cut the learning curve, is start emulating people you admire. Start with excellence. In the medical model, we study pathologies, we study disease, we study what's wrong, and we're really good at handling short-term solutions. But as an athlete, I studied excellence. Who is producing the result I wanted? And let's do that first.
Right.
When you find out about someone that you emulate, such as yourself, Marcus, they say, hey, Marcus, how did you do this, right? But there's also a story behind it. There's a whole thing where you started out and where you went and how did you get there, and that's the inspirational part, because we all started.
This is raw food power here. If that's not proof, I don't know what is. Gorilla, man. Amazing.
Woo!
There you go.
All right. Put that a shake and blend it. First thing we have to understand is that we all have levels of compromised digestion. Just because I put something in my mouth doesn't mean it actually got into my cell. Okay? There's a single canal from mouth to anus. And the food is inside my body, but it's not inside my cells actually. It's not inside there. So it's really about how much actually gets digested, absorbed, and utilized, and how much waste product is created from that process. So one of the reasons why I think the raw food movement or the vegetarian movement has got a great idea is they have the concept of eating as clean and as pure foods as your body so you have less toxic residue. And I think that's a fantastic idea. But if I look at a horse or a cow, well, they have totally different digestive systems, like you mentioned, Marcus, than we do as humans. So it's about evaluating. And when I first made the transition from being a carnivore, as I say, I ate meat for breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, and anything in between. I didn't call it a meal if it didn't have meat. And when I went away from that, I tried to adapt that meat eater's mindset, if you will, to a vegetarian program. And at first I struggled with it, and it was a big conflict with, I remember, the coaches I was working with and that sort of thing. And we adapted a model, and over a number of years, over a process about, it was over 10 years ago that I switched to a vegetarian model. Then that evolved to a raw food model, and then that evolved to a nutrient-dense absorption kind of model. In other words, how much of the food was I actually getting into my muscles? And with that, I use a lot of, again, we did the shakes too. The particular amino acid blends that I like is pea, hemp, and rice bran. These type are my three mainstays for amino acids. But I also like fresh live sprouts. Like, I think there's something that when I eat sprouts, that I don't know what all is inside of sprouts, but there's something inside that's powerful. So I started to get a big vegetable salad. So whenever I take in protein, and I do take in anywhere from 50 to 100 grams of protein a day in a denatured state. That's not cooked, that's not been heated, that's not been denatured, that's not been damaged. If I'm just regular training trying to maintain, 50 grams of protein from those sources is enough. If I'm training hard, if I'm doing 4 hours of training a day or 3 hours of training a day, a lot of training, I'll get my protein content up to 100, but I do take enzymes, digestive enzymes, or specific cultured enzymes, so that I can break down those amino acids into a usable form that my muscles can build tissue in. That allows me to use way less protein than, say, some of my other competitors who are eating a lot of meat and eating 200, 300, 400, 500 grams of protein a day and creating all sorts of acidic waste products in the body, uric acid and that sort of thing. I'm eating 50 to 100 grams of protein and producing better results, feeling better, feeling more energy, feeling more lethargic. I've done it both ways, so I'm one of the rare cases that can compare the two. If I'm a 200-pound guy, like I weigh around between 200, 180 on the low side to 200 on the high side, depending on what I'm trying to achieve at a given time. A 200-pound guy that's in the gym doing a pile of weight workouts and breaking down muscle tissue in the workouts, they need more food. They need more protein inside their body. If I'm a 110-pound guy that does a lot of yoga per se and doesn't have a real physical life, I probably don't need that much protein. So you have to adapt your diet based on what you're doing, and I really believe that your body becomes its function, and your body will generally be drawn to the foods and products. If I take my protein down too low in my training, I'll start to notice after a couple weeks I have more muscle soreness, and I don't have as much motivation to lift weights. And what my body's trying to tell me is you haven't recovered from your last workout. So over the years, I've developed my optimal fuel mix. Now, if I'm a new person, a new vegetarian, a new person that's just starting out, your fuel mix will probably be a little bit different than mine because I've been doing this for a long time. And so I think cleaning the body first, feeding the body is the next step. So I got release, rebuild, and revitalize. Release the toxic crud and stuff and get so your body can absorb it. Rebuild the musculature, the nervous system, the endocrine system, the hormone systems inside your body using a variety of nutritional supplements and products that are geared for you, and that's where testing comes in. And then revitalize. This is where you're getting into, I think, where Marcus, I think you're really an expert on this, is finding the wild crafted foods that are grown right out in nature that have all sorts of things that we don't even know in science that give you a lot of vitality, energy, and power. So it's an evolution.
How do you feel about nuts and seeds? Obviously, you have to soak them.
Yeah, I mean, the nuts and seeds are they're wonderful, but you got to remember they need to be soaked first if you're going to do them properly because they do contain enzyme inhibitors. The other thing is when I'm getting ready for a contest, if I'm going to compete in a competition, I do have to monitor the amount of calories going inside my system. So in those type of situations, I find nuts and seeds take too much time to digest, and they tend to not get me as lean as I want to be. That's why I'll use a blended protein mix that I get a lot of amino acids very quickly, that's easy to absorb, and I keep my calorie intake very low. And unlike most bodybuilders, and that sort of, I use fructose, and fructose, but I mean from naturally occurring sugars like in oranges or apples or peaches and these type of things as my source of carbohydrates as I'm preparing for a show.
When you say that, do you mean you actually eat the fruit or do you actually eat the isolated fructose?
No, I actually eat the fruit.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so I eat the fruit, but a lot of people say, oh, it's high glycemic. You can't eat those carrots, Wade. It's high glycemic. Well, ice cream is low glycemic and carrots are high glycemic. You can eat all the carrots in the world and you're not going to get fat. You can eat all the apples, you can eat all the bananas.
Well, the fiber is what helps it.
Yes.
Go on.
Well, yeah, one of the things too is I also notice is inside of nature, if you look at most protein sources inside of the animal world or inside what we find in nature, they come with fiber. So if I look at hemp, there's a considerable amount of fiber with it. If I look at vegetables, there's a considerable amount of fiber every time that you, so I think protein and fiber together. So I'll have my protein smoothie in the morning where I take in probably a higher than normal amount of protein a meal. My next one will be a salad-based food where I'm getting lots of fiber and greens and that sort of stuff to push that, any residue left over, and then I'll go back to another protein and fruit-based one, and then go back to maybe another fiber one, and that would be it for the day. And so I'm kind of going back and forth between the two and cycling within my energy system.
What about fats, oils, and EFAs?
Yeah, I think fats, oils, and EFAs are very, very good. And what I have found, though, is different people run on different essential fatty acids. So, for example, I can take coconut oil. I do really, really well on coconut oil. I like it. It's great. It has a whole lot of benefits in the body. I have some other people who don't do that well on coconut oil. And maybe because of the way their digestive system is or where they're coming from, they can't do it, and they might do better on hemp oil or grapeseed oil or one of these other types of oils that you can get out there. What I always do, start with one thing and then trust your body and start monitoring as you go. Some people do really well on flax for a while. Some people like doing, don't stay rigid. Keep learning. Don't make everybody a macaron. If somebody else does better on hemp oil and you do better on coconut oil, it doesn't mean that the hemp oil guy is wrong. It's just found that he's found that hemp oil is right for him, and the coconut oil, one of my teachers says, you don't have to hate vanilla to love chocolate. You can just love chocolate. So in this case, I can just love coconut oil and you can love flax oil.
And you said that you obviously take a good amount of protein powder in the morning.
Yes.
You said you need something to help assimilate that. What do you do for that? How do you assimilate that?
Yeah, well, I think there's a great book out there by Dr. Edward Howell. It was written years ago called Enzyme Nutrition. And he studied all the populations out there in the animal kingdom. And he looked at the biggest difference was the enzyme deficiency in diet. And unfortunately, because of modern growing, we've lost the enzyme content in our food. The food gives up its protein content, converts it to enzymes in order to grow on mineral deficient soils. And so I always consume enzymes with every single meal before I eat it, even because it's raw food and stuff, because I don't know what happened to that food on the way from the farm to my house. I don't know the conditions that we're in on the farm. I want to make sure that I have a high amount of enzymes inside my body so that any of that food goes into my thing, definitely gets broken down, digested, and assimilated by my body. And so I'm not creating undigested food particles in my intestinal tract that bad bacteria can feed off of and create all the toxic problems that people are dealing with. So for me, enzymes are an absolute essential to the process.
What about probiotics?
Probiotics, yep, and they work in conjunction. I do a probiotic every night before I go to bed, a particular transient strain. That one goes through my whole body and picks up any of the garbage, viruses, bacteria, and that sort of thing that I may have taken in from the air, from the water. You can't control all these environments, but I can control my inner environment, my inner terrain. And then there are specific times in different cases where other probiotic strains can be used for different reasons. I know there's candida issues, or there's some. One of the things I think the misnomers out there's a lot of people think yogurt is a way to get their probiotics.
Oh, I hate that one.
And if you looked at the history of the study of cultures, one of the big ones that where this whole probiotic thing started was the Bulgarian peasants with L. bulgaricus, and they made a kind of kefir thing at night, and they ate it in the morning. Well, if you look at the history, they would make it at night, it would ferment overnight, and they would eat it first thing in the morning when it was actually fresh and vital and active. And by the afternoon, it was only half as good, and by the evening, it wasn't good, and after the next day, you had to throw it out. It wasn't any good anymore. So if you're looking for a probiotic, if your bacteria culture has to be in a fridge or it goes bad, what the heck do you think is going to happen to it when it goes into your body, which is way hotter than the fridge? It doesn't make any sense. So I think a good probiotic strain every day before you go to bed is a great way to prevent, put more soldiers, if you will, to fight off any bacteria's infection. So I have a strong defense. I guess it's a lot of people are out there having a lot of questions. Is it possible to really be athletic, to be vibrant, to build muscle, to look vibrant and healthy and have an attractive physique? And I can testify personally, it's absolutely true. And in fact, I think it is the most optimal way to live in a way that was designed by nature and in congruency with nature's laws. And it's a transition, and a lot of people out there go, it's a mental switch more than a physical switch. Once you make the mental switch, that's why I'm here today, is to show you that, yeah, I used to think that there was no possible way that I could ever build any kind of muscle or have any kind of tissue or be any kind of athlete if I didn't eat meat and chicken and fish and beef and all sorts of things that walked on four legs. And as that's evolved now, I'm here in the state that I've been doing this now for over a decade, won titles in national titles in bodybuilding, no chemicals, no drugs, none of that stuff, and went to the world championships and had a lot of wonderful experiences. I was able to do that not because I was eating meat, because I wasn't. In fact, it was easier, faster, simpler, more fun, and healthier to do by doing this modality. And the other thing is, it doesn't have to be perfect for you. You don't have to get it all at once. Do it gradually. A great rule of thumb to start is the 80-20 rule. Do 80%, raw to start off. Start with that, and 20% do your other stuff. And that's a great thing that's easy to mix. You don't damage your social circles. You don't do that. You can have a little bit of fun here or that ever, and let your body naturally develop into this. So it's not a have to, a must to.
Right.
Keep doing.
And then your body becomes sour and everything.
Yeah, and it becomes so restrictive and rigid and not fun. And I want to have fun when I eat. I want to.
So why are most raw food as skinny as hell?
Well, I think that's a great question. I think a lot of people are attracted to the raw food movement, particularly because they do have a compromised health system. They were born in an environment, or they subjected to some chemicals, or they had some genetic challenge, or whatever it happens to be, whatever those conditions coming in. They had some physical ailments, and they went into a dietary program by reducing the amount of foods that they were eating, some of the toxicity, and removing the toxins, and getting into a more natural way of eating. Now, the initial benefits of that were outstanding. The transformation when you go from a very toxic, chemical-laden, sugar-infested, goop-ified food, if you diet, that's the SADS diet, it's the standard American diet, and you switch into a raw, vibrant, nutritious, you feel this massive influx of energy and health and vitality, and you get very motivated. And what you haven't recognized, the biggest thing was the shift, the change in mind, the change in lifestyle that made that. Now, anything in nature knows that a rigid position can fall apart. It's always the willow tree that bends will withstand much more than the oak tree that doesn't. So as you evolve through that, what happens is, because a lot of these people came from compromised digestive systems, they've got restrictive in their mind and in their body, and now they've limited themselves to this very much. Because of that, they don't have a lot of enzymes, and they don't have a lot of amino acids inside their tissue, so their body starts catabolizing muscle tissue inside the body and wasting it away. And I know when I first made the transition, I started to experience some of that as my body was cleaning out and breaking down the sludge that had been gotten in there for years. And then that's what I call the release stage. So you may go through a period where you're releasing some of this, and you have to recognize it's the rebuild stage. This is a stage where I think a lot of people haven't developed this because there hasn't been a lot of athletes that have switched into this mode. There's more and more coming in the last 3, 4, 5 years are switching into this type of mindset because we have the technology to do it. Again, leveraging technology, and that's one of the reasons why I use enzymes, to make sure that if I'm eating this food, I get the 10 grams of protein that I consumed into my tissues, as opposed to only getting 1 gram of that to rebuild my tissue. So again, it's looking at the digestive system and how I absorb, and being willing to experiment with things. Be willing to say, okay, Wade, well, let me suspend my belief. I know natures don't naturally come cultured and ready. We do a culturing process with fungus and stuff. Let's put that into my diet. Try some of these things that Wade do. Make a couple of these smoothies. Try it for a month. Try it for 30 days. Go to the gym, do your workouts, and see, does that build more muscle inside your body? And if it does, do it. And if it doesn't, try something else and keep tweaking it till you find your optimal fuel mix.
So do you have a book or a program or anything that people can get the details, exactly what they need to do?
Yeah, we have a whole system. We have at my site, www.maximumvitalpower.com. We actually, if you go to the site, we'll give you a free ebook of how to start integrating the healthy lifestyle, no matter where you're at, whether you're right on the couch potato, haven't exercised in years, to you want to start going off, at a high performance athlete, like you're at the top professional level and you want to work from that point. And there's an audio cassette and an audio file that gets sent to you, and we share with you some of the things. And I have a book called Vital Power, which is a written book, which is the Maximum Vital Power program, about the philosophy behind it. I don't believe in randomly taking a supplement or nutritional programs, that thing. I call that the shotgun approach. Get the philosophy first, start with the basics, and move from there. And we have what we call the AWESOME formula for health. And AWESOME is an acronym that stands for air first, get your breathing down first. Water, the best, highest quality water you can possibly put in your body. Exercise, do exercise every single day, something that you like, something that you value. Lots of sunlight, look at your nutrition from a sunlight component. O is the optimizers, that's where you get into enzymes of probiotics, vitamins, minerals, essential fatty acids, amino acids, which is going to vary for each person. Then there's the mental beliefs and attitude, putting good food in our mind, good mooding in our attitude. And the final thing is education, testing, and coaching, the etc. That's the AWESOME formula. Get good education, test yourself regularly, and if there's something you need to overcome, go for coaching. That would really help.